In this video, we're going to take a look at the new Generative AI feature in Adobe Photoshop. I've been playing around with this for a couple of days and I've been quite impressed with the results for some use cases, not so much for others. So I want to give a demonstration of a case which I think it's particularly good for and also talk about some of the issues that I've had with it so far. Disclaimer, I'm not particularly good with Photoshop, I'm not a graphics designer or anything like that. If you follow this YouTube channel, you probably know I normally make cybersecurity content and I will get back to that after this video, so don't unsubscribe. And if you're here for the photo editing stuff, hopefully you might find some of the cybersecurity content interesting as well. Alright, with that out of the way, let's take a look at this AI feature. I've got a photograph open at the moment. This was taken in 2019 on an island in Thailand called Koh Tao. And you can see already the AI features up here at the bottom saying select subject, remove background, and then we've got some more options here. You can actually select these three little dots and then pin the bar, which I like to do because otherwise as you're clicking around the image, it's going to keep moving around with you. So I'm going to pin that, and the first thing I want to do here is get rid of some of these people. I don't know who they are, they're ruining my photograph, and I'd rather they disappear. So let me use the lasso tool to just very roughly select these people. I'm going to hold shift and do the same thing with this one, here as well, and this one, and then this one here, of course. You can see these are very rough cuts. I'm not using the magnetic tool, I'm not zooming in and going over them really carefully. And now I'm going to do generative fill, and it's going to ask me, what do you want? Just give some English words to describe what you want. In this case, I'm just not going to put anything, just hit generate, because it should work out that we want to remove them. And this is generally the case if you highlight some people, or if you have like two images and there's like a white space in the middle, and you just tell it to generate, it'll try to like extend the images or remove what you've selected and things like that. And there we go, look how good that was. So that took about 10-15 seconds, and it's generated three alternatives. So you can see that I can cycle through these and pick whichever I think is the best. I think they're all very good actually. I'm going to select the first one, and you can merge this down now. If you're happy with this, you could merge it, flatten the image. There was actually a couple of other things I should have removed there. Even though these boats are pretty typical of a Thai beach, I'm going to remove them. I'm going to remove this floating buoyed thing, and there's also some like people here in the distance who are kind of in the shot if you zoom in. So I'm going to try and do the generative fill again. I'll start skipping through this loading bar because we might need to generate quite a few images, and I don't want to waste too much of your time. So if you see it speeding along in future, that's why. Okay, perfect. That looks great. I don't even really need to look at the other alternatives, but they're all very good. So I'm going to flatten the image, and the next thing I'm going to do is expand this. Let's just say I was sitting on this beach and I couldn't be bothered walking back and getting a good distant photo of the whole surroundings. Or let's say there was hundreds of people behind me and I didn't want to get them in the photograph, so I just took the photo from here. But I actually wish we could see more of the beach and more of this island and the rocks and the sand. So what I'm going to do is use the cropping tool to expand this. Let me zoom out a bit, and we'll just expand it a little bit. Try and get a bit more sky, and I definitely want to get some more sand. Okay, looks pretty good. Alright, now there's a few ways to do the next bit. You can select subject here, and this might just select the square, and then, oh, it actually selected, okay, so everything but the sky. So we could do this, and then we could, let me just try and do it just by default, generative fill. And hopefully it'll work out, this is what we have here. We've got islands here, we've got rocks here, we've got water here, we've got sand here. So it should just try to extend those things. It doesn't have the sky selected, so I'm assuming it's just going to replace the sky. Okay, that wasn't good. What I should have done there is actually inverse the selection. So you can see that was actually replacing the bit that we wanted to keep. So that's fine, let me delete that. Let's do select subject again. I just want to try this first of all. I don't think it's going to work as well as what we'll do afterwards. And you can go to select, you can inverse, and then we'll do generative fill. So that's what I meant to do previously. So now we have everything selected apart from the sand, the rocks, the sea, and the island. So we should get a new sky, and then we should get rid of all this white border. Okay, we did. Now you can see there's some issues here. We've got this white line. What we could do now is just select this white line and then use generative fill, and that would clear that up, and do the same here with that rock. But we've got a nice beach. We've got the islands in the background actually look really cool. I prefer that to what we had originally. But you'll notice that we keep having these kind of, it looks like it's a bit stitched together So what I normally do, and what I found had better results with here, is actually, if you select this and make sure there's a little bit of an overlap, and then we do the same thing for this part. You just want a tiny bit of an overlap just to try and stop that kind of rough looking cut. Do that on all the borders. So now we've got everything selected, including like a centimeter or less of the image. And again, we'll do generative fill and just let it do its thing. Okay, that's looking nice. We've still got a bit of a tear down here, but I like the way it's extended that rock. Everything else is looking nice. We'll skip through them. They're all a bit jagged. Let me try and generate again. Okay, we still have that tear. Maybe there is something I could do with selecting that part a little bit better. We could also add in some keywords here, so maybe I'll actually say Thai Island. Okay, that's terrible. Also terrible. That one's not too bad, but I'm going to go with this one. I did actually have better results in the demo that I did before making this video. We could try and get rid of this kind of seam here, as I've said, so why don't we do a generative fill on that part. We might be able to just select that whole seam and do a generative fill, but I'm not 100% sure. So that looks good. We can do a couple of attempts. That also looks good. Let me try and do the full seam. I'm not sure if it'll work as well as doing them individually. Hopefully it does, because this will speed it up a bit. Okay, that looks good. I like that. It's a shame it didn't just kind of do that on its own. I don't know why it struggled to smooth that out. I'm also going to remove this. I don't like this thing here, whatever it is. Great, that looks good. That also looks good. All three of those look good. I'm going to flatten the image. Okay, looking good. We could also remove this bit of a seam here. I would probably get rid of this rock, but it's fine for the demonstration. Let's do something else. Let's also change the sky. So quite often you have some beautiful sunsets in Thailand, especially on the islands. And that's really not represented in this picture. We've got a bit of a cloudy sky. There's a little bit of blue coming through, but I would rather see some of the orange and pink colors that I remember. So, let me select the lasso tool. Alright, very rough cut again. And there we go. Let's do generative fill, and let's say orange and pink sunsets. Okay, looks nice. It's a little bit too bright, I think. Too much going on. Same with that one. Let's try and generate some more. That one looks better. Okay, let's see what other variations we got. That's also pretty good. I'm going to go with the first one. I have seen some kind of better results, but that'll do. Let's also just clean this up a bit. This is using stock images, by the way, so Adobe are only using their own like stock image collection, and that's obviously going to severely limit the tool in terms of the output it can generate. And you do notice that in trying to get it to generate certain types of content, that it's obviously not got a great repository to work from. It does mean that there's no copyright issues though. You're not worried about reusing artists or photographers' work, which I guess for companies that might be wanting to use this tool is a benefit. Those alternatives aren't great, but I can't be bothered to do any more, so I'm just going to leave that. I'm also going to add an island here. Okay, that's floating above the water a bit. They all are. That's probably down to my selection. Let me try that again. Do it like that. That one's not too bad. That one kind of fits in a bit better, but let's try some more. That's a weird one. Alright, some interesting ones. That one's got a boat in the sky. I'm going to skip that. I did do some ones previously where it kind of generated them as being like really distant looking. Let me just try that again. So you can hold down shift and select multiple spots here. Maybe we've got a cluster of islands. Alright, they're terrible, terrible, terrible. They're boats, not islands. Okay, so you can see there's some mixed results. I guess maybe the way I drew them and how I had them a bit higher than the water has led to them all being floating. So that's something to bear in mind. Now you might be thinking, well, this photograph that you took is no longer your photograph. It's just random images. It's just AI generated, which is true. I mean, there are some images that I've worked on, like I had a photo of me at the Taj Mahal, and there was just crowds of hundreds of people around me as I was getting the photograph taken. And it's very easy to remove those crowds and even remove their reflections from the water. And I got it to the point where it literally just looks like it's just me at the Taj Mahal. You would really have to study the image to find any issues with it. Anyway, let's add some life to this. Let's just have a bit of fun. So I'm going to put in a crab here. How you draw this shape, by the way, will determine how well it comes out. So that's probably not going to come out very well. Okay, that crab looks pretty cool. That one looks better, I think. A little bit cartoony, but that's fine. Let's also have like a little swarm of fish here. Okay, they look okay. Not the best, they're very crowded. Maybe I should have just said fish instead of swarm of fish, because it probably knows by the size of it and the size of the scale of the sea, should I say, that you don't just want one giant fish. We'll give it a go if this one doesn't have great results. Yeah, way too crowded. Let's try and do just fish. Okay, so it did do a big fish. That isn't what I wanted. Okay. Swarm of tropical fish. You could say like family of fish if you don't want hundreds of fish, I guess. That's not too bad, although they don't really look like fish, they just kind of look like red blobs. Okay, I'm going to go with that one. It's not the best, but it could be worse. Let's also add like a seal here. Not ideal. I think that's down to the way that I actually drew that. Let me try more like that. I think we want it to have a good kind of overlap with the rock so that it's not floating above the rock. Still not great. Let me try and do it again. I'll do it on the rock, and I'll do it as more like how you would imagine a seal to be shaped. That's better. Yeah, let's do something like that. Okay. And you could do something similar with like dolphins or something. Let's say we've got... That's a really terrible shape. So I don't think that's going to work very well. But we'll try it. We didn't recognize your prompt as English. What did I say? Dolphins? Maybe I didn't spell it right. Okay, so that's how it worked, but I guess I didn't draw them very well there. That second one's not too bad. We've got one that's swimming and one that's jumping. I'm going to leave that at that. So you notice there it came up saying it didn't recognize that as English. Maybe I didn't type it correctly, but I have had issues like that and bugs where you might actually... So you might just select something very benign, like a tiny little spot in the water, and then try and generate, and it'll come up saying it's like not safe content or something like that. And if you're trying to draw stuff on people, so let's say you wanted to remove hair, even if you're doing it on someone's head, sometimes it comes up saying it's not allowed. Maybe it's thinking you're trying to do other stuff. So yeah, let me try and put like a temple here. That wasn't a very good shape really to do a temple. I might have to try that again. Okay, you know what, that Buddha is actually pretty cool. I'm going to leave that as it is. We could add some like monkeys onto it or something. Let's... And we can cycle through them. They all look pretty good. They're in the distance anyway. Let's also just add a quick sandcastle here as well. I don't know how much I need to worry about the shape of this, so... Kind of disappointing. Let's try a few more. Alright, that one's not too bad. Okay, let's see how bad things can get. I'm going to drag on a copy of this little CryptoCat, resize it, and cartoons don't seem to work very well at all. I'm going to select here the hat, and we'll try and say pirate hat. The problem is it's going to try and use the colors that it has around it, so it's going to really try and use this blue from the cat skin and the browny grey coat and also the black outline. So we can try and get around that by specifying what color we want it to be. See, that uses like the black and the blue. So let's say like black and gold pirate hat. Not great. Okay, that one's actually not too bad. Let's leave that as it is for now. Let's see what we can do with the coat as well. Okay, that's an interesting one. That one's not too bad. It's doing some weird stuff with the tail in that case, but maybe we could just remove that by selecting it. Let's try it. Let me go back to the CryptoCat one. Let's try and remove the tail. Alright, it removed part of the tail. I think the issue is there as well that it's not flattened, so those were different layers that it was working with. Let me try now. Okay, we kind of got halfway there, so we could do the same thing again now. And just try and get rid of this bit. That was nice. Alright, let's try. Okay, that one looks good. We could do that again, just get rid of these bits here. It's also missing arms. I wonder, can we now do like 2 arms? I wonder how closely it's going to follow my shape. Not too closely, hopefully. Blue cat arms and paws. Terrible. 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 Okay. So that didn't work. Let's try and put an eye patch on him. Probably some of this would be better if you just like take a bit more time, or if you're actually better at like drawing these outlines and stuff. Pirates. Eye patch. That didn't work. He looks quite funny now. His eyes. Okay, I'm going to leave that as that, even though we didn't get the eye patch. I like that. Let me just try and do like blue hands here, maybe. Blue cat paws. Okay, it added paws. I don't know why they're not blue. Alright, well, I'm going to try and wrap this up. I don't know how many people are actually still going to be watching at this stage, but I will say that these do have important elements for cybersecurity. Not just this Photoshop stuff, but everything that you're seeing with AI in terms of deepfakes, being able to generate audio and video, making it look like it's somebody else. I know there was a case recently where a hostage taking situation, you know, there's somebody has used a deepfake audio to pretend to have somebody's child, and they basically used it as a hostage situation in the States. Obviously not a real hostage, but pretending that they had the kid by having that AI generated audio. And I guess you'll see a lot of similar stuff happening with videos as well. Pictures, it's going to be really hard to tell what's real and what's not, unless I make it, of course, and then it'll be quite easy. But yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this video anyway. Have you had a chance to play around with this? If you have, let me know. Have you got better results than I've been getting? Have you got any tips or tricks for me? And if you have any questions or comments, as ever, leave them down below. Thanks.